Welcome to Always with Awareness. My name is Douglas Lodmell.
And my name is Awa Lodmell.
And today we're going to talk about really relationships and the husband and wife dynamic. And it's something that you and I talk about a lot.
Yes.
Just something I think that you were taught that I think is not necessarily the conventional wisdom in this part of the world, which is to truly support your husband.
That's right.
To see them, to be their number one fan, to really make it your purpose to be behind them in the way that makes them bigger and stronger and better in the world.
That's right.
And I think it's being in relationship, being married to you for almost 20 years now, I know that it was a very different thing for me to experience.
Huh.
And all my previous relationships, there was some kind of competition between the man and the woman. There was some kind of, and it's not to say that everybody doesn't do their own thing and have their own big life.
That's right.
But there's just an energy difference. So I know you see it. I know we talk about it a lot. So tell me what you see. How do you see it? Or maybe, what you saw when you first got here. I don't know how you want to tackle that one.
I would not be able to proceed before thanking my parents, number one. After God. And second, this culture of where I'm from, where we see marriage as a practice land of faith and of support.
Yeah.
That's where it's coming from for me. I remember one day sharing this saying that we have in Senegal, "Sey pour jaamu Yàlla la," which means, translate to, a marriage is a way of worshiping God.
Yeah.
But in this part of the world, when you put a human being next to God, already is blasphemy. Like, you don't do that.
Right.
But you cannot thank God if you don't thank the human in your life.
Yeah.
And to choose one person, man or woman, and to say, I am going to be in a relationship with that person, is to practice your faith, your beliefs. You're going to be challenged. Challenges are coming for all of us. But to support your husband is a way of worshiping God.
Yeah.
For me. And I think that was something new for you.
Very.
Very.
Yeah. It wasn't modeled as in my parent life,
That's
with
right.
my own parents. It certainly wasn't modeled with anybody else I knew, and it wasn't modeled with my own relationships prior to you.
That's right.
Yeah, except for one, which was your sister and my brother.
That's right.
It was modeled for me there.
Yeah. And I think it comes from that ground of your marriage is a way to worship. That's what marriage is. It's a worshiping. But if you're already saying, you're not my mother, you're not my father, you're not God to me, then why be with anybody?
Well,
right?
You've said more than once, 8 billion people on the planet. Why choose one and then be their enemy?
Exactly.
And not be their number one fan? You got to live with this person.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, that's what I see a lot of marriages. They pick each other, and then 10 years later, 20 years later, they're not on the same team at all. They're
That's
not
right.
supporting each other. They didn't build that support in. And I think that comes very much from not having seen their partner as the way in which they can worship God. But
That's
God
right.
said it directly.
Exactly.
When the least of those comes to you,
That's right.
it's me.
That's right.
So why would that not translate to your spouse?
And when you say spouse, you just say your whole family. Your
Yeah.
kids.
Your kids.
Your family, your brothers, sisters, friendship.
Yeah.
And that's something I have to say made my relationship with you so beautiful because I do not see my husband as someone I need to compete with or somebody that I need to beat and educate or reshape, but if anything, somebody I support in their own path of growth.
Right.
If you want to grow fast,
Be in a relationship.
be in a relationship.
For sure, sure. Relationship is a growth accelerator. You
Absolutely.
will grow, and that's why a lot of people aren't in a relationship.
That's
they
right.
they don't want that much pressure
That's right.
on their own growth, and that really is what it is. It's pressure for yourself.
That's right.
Course in Miracles says, there's relationships. We're all teachers, and we are in relationship. Sometimes they're lifelong relationships. Sometimes they don't look like teaching, learning relationships. They might not even be, amicable.
That's right.
But they're all there for a reason.
Yeah.
The marriage one for me is just so critical because it's the one that is the most direct impact on your life every day.
Every day.
Every day.
Every day. You have to deal with your husband every day, your
Every day.
family every day. And yes, again, it is a beautiful ground of growth. You will be challenged
Yeah.
by the people that you love the most. And it's a beautiful thing. You're going to fear. And the most important thing in marriage is when comes the time where you are challenged to stay back and to not make it about you.
That's very hard.
And it's
Yeah.
very hard. It's very hard to multiply yourself by 0 and to stand for somebody else.
Yeah.
And that's what marriage is. Standing by somebody else means, am I telling the truth without having any expectation or any, what's the word? Benefits. Like it's
Right.
not benefiting me.
Right.
It's for the person, it's for my husband right now.
Yeah.
As much as I love my husband, or I'm jealous, or I'm competitive, or I'm afraid, that he might sink all of us, or my own life, can I tell the truth? Can I be pure, with pure heart, and advise my husband for his own good? For his own good. Because when you stand for somebody else's own good, you are standing for yours. That means your interests are the same.
Well, that's the whole point.
That's right.
It's when you realize that your interests are not different,
Not different.
than anyone else's.
That's right.
For sure not your spouse. I mean, when you realize, wow, what's best for him is best for me.
That's right.
And out of this mode of either overt or subtle competition or insecurity, we see a lot of couples where you can just see the holding back that they're doing.
That's right.
Or one of them is doing because they're kind of afraid that if the other one soars,
Yes.
like the other one can,
That's right.
that somehow they're going to leave them.
That's
they're
right.
going to soar without them.
That's right.
There's fear there,
Yeah.
and that keeps everybody in the relationship little.
Yeah, well, you're always in relationship with the people that you have the same emotional issues with,
Yeah, yeah,
until one of you resolves it or both of you resolve it. If it's both of you, it's great.
Yeah.
But if it's one of you, then there is a problem.
right.
And most of the time, that's what we lived with relationship, with friendship, people that are married. You can see the husband so excited, so ready for new, but yet the wife is afraid.
Yeah,
And we have to coach, I guess is the word, and lower that fear for most people so that they can go forward. Because the first thing we experience together is having a couple where the husband is ready to be a friend and move forward and excited, and it's just like, wow, I needed this fresh breath in my life.
Yeah.
And then you see the wife just very resistant because doesn't know how meeting us is going to implicate their relationship with their husbands.
That's happened so many times. It's
Yes.
now such a consistent theme that when we meet a couple, often the deeper the initial contact, the more interesting we are to them and they are to us, the more fear we see later as they look and go, ooh, that's scary. My husband was really fascinated by them and wanted to talk, and I'm now afraid.
That's right.
You know, there's some fear there, or vice versa. So we see it happen all the time.
Yes. And what I see happen is most of the time, I guess we always talk. We have that privilege to, you work mostly at home. I'm a home mom. So we have the time to spend a lot of time together.
Yeah,
So,
it's a real privilege.
you know, if anything I have to advise to anybody is take the time to be with your partner. I remember reading somewhere or listening to somebody who said, every day commit to 15, 20 minutes with your partner to talk about your kids, your financial life, your health life, your project, where you want to be 5 years from now, 20 years from now. And I do recommend that. We spend 2 hours, 4 hours a day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know not everybody can do that. I mean, we're very blessed to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But that lowers the fears. The more time you spend together, the more time you go deep in this fear of yours, these emotions that are coming through you, and you're sharing it, the more you trust your partner.
Right.
It's that simple. And the more your partner trusts you back, so that if any challenges can come, he or she is more up to listen to you, because now they know it's coming really from a place of truth, and not trying to, you know, like I said before, you're not making it about yourself.
Yeah, and again, much of it is just the commitment of the time,
That's right.
but also the commitment of the conversation during that time. I can tell you, you can spend equal amounts of time doing something, whether it's practicing an instrument or a sport or in a relationship, and that can be effective time that is moving you, or it can just be noodle time where you're kind of just repeating the same stuff over and over. You're not moving.
That's right.
And one thing that I feel like we do well is we keep moving the conversation, because we keep running into challenges and we keep finding our own triggers.
That's right.
And you know, one of the greatest gifts of this process that we kind of call the work, or you know, it's the work. It's just the work of waking up, is that you're always given this opportunity to see where you need to focus your work.
Absolutely.
Because whatever is triggering you, that's it.
That's it.
And so what I see in relationships with couples that we meet is that we can see them getting triggered.
Yeah.
You can watch one of them get triggered.
Yes.
Often the husband is more open, because that's, I think, a more natural position for the husband to be in.
Yeah, men
for
are
the
just,
men.
yeah, absolutely.
You know, they're out there in the world. They're just more of a out type of energy.
That's right.
And the women are naturally just more fearful.
That's right.
Of what is this? Who is this coming to our life? And so it's consistently showing up like that.
And it's cultural, again.
It's cultural, sure.
I do not face the same thing when I am with my sisters in Senegal.
Yeah.
You know, it's more like, it's so funny because people think that the women in Africa are the one who are passive, the man got the home, and you know, but no, it's just we're doing it differently.
Right.
It's just a different energy. You know, it's a very grounded energy. We know who we are. We know our role. It's been very clear from the get-go. So I think that's very important also to bring back that confidence that women have naturally.
I mean, what leadership is lowering fear so everybody can move forward.
That's right.
So if you're in a dark cave and you're up front and there's your kids behind you and your wife behind you, what's your goal? To have the light on and your energy calm, saying everything's fine.
That's right.
That's leadership, literally.
Yes.
Right? But the same is true in everything. Men lead, women lead. And when you can't lower your own fear, you can't lead. You just can't
Absolutely.
lead.
Yeah.
Because no one can follow when you're afraid. Horses have taught me, because I watch you guys ride horses. All my girls ride horses, all of them. And when you're afraid, that horse knows it.
That's right.
They're just like, they're
absolutely.
terrified too.
That's
so
right.
part of the goal is when you see that moose on the trail, for you to stay calm.
That's
so that horse doesn't freak out.
That's right.
But it's the same for us, right? And it's
Yeah.
definitely the same for a marriage. And this is the part that I really wanted to contrast, is that I feel like what you do is you never are fearful when I come with whatever crazy stuff I come with, whoever I come with
Right.
into our
Yeah,
lives.
that's right.
Fear is not what defines you.
No, because again, if marriage is a way of worshiping God,
Yeah.
and God is no fear.
Yeah.
When you're close to God, you're close to no fear.
Right.
When you're close to God, you're closer to wealth. When you're close to God, you're not alone.
Right.
Ever. Never. So just being trained in your mind that in your marriage, which is in your home, and with how important it is your partnership with your husband, if you lower the fear, you lower the insecurity, you are feeling wealthy already.
Yeah.
I mean, there is not a moment where you don't feel like you are already the right person at the right time, at the right moment with your partner. It just gives you a very genuine confidence within yourself. Why? Because you're not alone. You are doing it the pure, loving way. You are one with God. Now I do understand what that saying in Africa means. Because when you do things from that place of faith, of wealth, of groundedness, of never alone, because you're doing for God, it's bigger than you, your husband, your home, then it's beautiful. But again, I have shared that with women here, and they could not. They're like, there is no way I could put that in my mind.
Yeah.
This is not the way I could love a man.
Yeah, there's often a very clear, like, I could never do that with my husband. That's not
Exactly.
how I'm going to worship God.
Exactly.
Not through that guy. You know, I somewhere else, not him.
No,
right?
somewhere
And-
else, not here.
And you know, a relationship is so fragile,
Very.
right? It's like the human body. It's capable of so much, and yet 7 pounds of pressure and you break your knee.
Yes.
Right? It doesn't take much with the wrong amount of pressure in the wrong spot to
That's
have
right.
an injury.
Yeah.
Or you don't pay attention for a second and you get into an accident, which can change your whole life. A relationship is the same.
That's
I
right.
see it that way. It's not something to take casually. It's something that you have to invest in all the time.
That's right.
And when there's damage to the relationship, when there's an area where there's weakness, it's not about avoiding it. I'm just not going to walk on this ankle because it's been weeks since I played basketball in college. I'll just avoid it. No, let's figure out how we can strengthen it.
That's right.
And that means actually stopping and looking at it.
Yeah.
And again, when that happens through the triggers.
That's right.
Right? So if a couple that we meet is triggered and we see it and they are in this conversation, then the best thing that could happen is for actually the trigger to get brought up.
That's
Say,
right.
well, I see that this is really triggering you, and have the conversation.
Yeah.
That's very rare, if not almost never, that we see that we have relationships where people are wanting to go deep. It's not never, but it's rare.
Well, and it is the reason why actually we are here sharing this with you.
Yeah.
We always get the question of why? Why do you choose to have a podcast? right?
Yeah.
It's a practice that we do every day, like I said, for the past 18 years.
Yeah.
And people love to read books, and I used to be a bookworm. I used to read a lot of books. But I come to a point where the most beautiful book that I want to read is my own book. Every day is a page, and I'm every day writing my page again and again, so that I myself get inspired of my own life. So if you're doing this work with your partner, where the most beautiful book you will ever read is your book with your partner, with the people in your life, believe me, there is not a day where you don't feel wealthier, happier, more one with the universe.
Yeah.
And that's where you practice. We say to our kids all the time, I'm like, as parents, we're educating you, but just know we are nothing but your practice ground.
That's for sure. Yeah.
We could have come here, every one of us, not be attached to nobody. But we come here with your own niche of people, and it's just to make you practice. We couldn't be able to do this and share this out here with more people if we had problems and issues that we couldn't solve by ourselves already.
Right.
You just can't.
Well,
there will be some topics that
can't.
you can't go there.
Well, yeah,
It will hit close to home. You'll be like, okay, this is where I stop.
yeah, and it doesn't mean you have to already have solved
No.
everything before you start
cannot.
sharing.
You cannot.
But it is part of the practice, right?
Absolutely.
So as we are doing this, it's
Yeah.
becoming more and more. We're digging deeper and deeper into our own relationship,
Absolutely.
into our own spirituality, into
Yes.
our own areas and triggers. They're all coming up because now we're talking about it.
Yeah.
And so, a friend of ours asked us, "Why are you guys doing this?" And the answer was, "Because this is our work. This is
That's
for
right.
us.
That's right.
This is what we want to do to take our own work to the next level."
Yeah, this is our own life.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. I think it's a great contribution. And everybody has something to add to their own life. They don't have to do it the same way, but believe me, your way will be unique to you, and it will be amazing. But at the end of the day, all roads leads to Rome. It will look the same.
Yeah.
When you will see each other, you will see the things we have in common, the work we have done together.
Yeah.
It's that simple. When you fear and you see somebody who worked their fear, it reminds you of where you used to be.
Yeah.
And when you see somebody who did that work already, you recognize each other and go like, oh wow, high five. I remember, we did this.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so beautiful. And to do that with the person that you live with, instead of having La Guerre des Roses, which is the movie,
The War of the Roses.
The World of the Roses.
See, I speak French now.
You do. So it just makes life. I cannot imagine, don't even want to imagine it, a life where your partner is your issue
Yeah.
in your own life.
It's the one thing I say to our kids, just get that one right.
Yeah.
And to get that one right, you have to get your own relationship with yourself right. You've got to see where you are,
Absolutely.
prioritize what's important to you, and if it's your growth,
That's
then you're going to get it right.
Yeah.
And we listen to Sadhguru. If you don't know
Yes.
Sadhguru, please go watch Sadhguru.
Yes.
He's an amazing teacher. And, he said, wealth is presence every day. That's wealth. When you can be present to the moment and live richly, whatever's going on, whatever you have or don't have.
Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about. And it's hard to do alone. It's very hard to be present alone. Now, if you're a guru and you can sit there and meditate and be absolutely in ecstasy by yourself in the mountains,
Great.
that is fantastic.
Great.
But for most of us, we're still needing relationship to help us stay present.
Yeah.
And there's no better relationship than the marriage,
That's
than a partnership.
Yeah.
because you've already committed to each other. That's the point of it.
That's
It's like,
right.
I'm going to hold you, you're going to hold me, we're going to do this together. We're going to
Absolutely.
hold hands and walk this path. And when we stumble, we're going to hold each other up.
That's right.
And when we run, we're going to run together.
Yeah. And I'm going to close that by saying that every relationship is like a marriage.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's just some people, you get to see them 5 minutes in your day. So who cares? Once Christmas, easy to hide. But if it's your partner of every day, you can't hide.
Right.
We have a saying in Africa that says, Jiko, bo duge fenna, bayi ko chibuntubi, bo fa defe 5 minutes mo fekk halaf. So, which translates to your characters, even if you hide them. Like, let's say, I'm going to go see Awa and Doug, and I'm going to hide all my characters.
Yeah.
I'll give you 10 minutes. They're going to come and knock at the door. You can't be separate from who you are.
You can't hide who you are.
Exactly.
No.
So imagine, if you are committed as of today to go deeper in conversation with your partner, to really take this podcast to be inspired, to really work on yourself. Believe me, it's going to be better not only between you and your husband, but you yourself, and then with the rest of us.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's the message. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the point of this one today is that, when you're triggered, take it as an opportunity.
That's
Don't
right.
run away from it.
Yeah.
Don't look at your triggers. And if you're seeing this and this is ringing true for you and you can think of those
And
times.
triggering you,
And
even
triggering
better.
you. Say, wow, honey, can you watch this show with me? And I want to share something with you. And talk about it.
Yeah.
Take the risk. And this brings up one more really critical thing, I think. In order to have that ability to take the risk of sharing, the risk is your partner's going to reject you. That's the risk
Oh, for most people.
for,
yes.
for everybody, right?
Yeah.
The risk is if I share this, this might be the thing that breaks us, right? If I share this, maybe we're not going to be able to stay close, right?
That's right.
But if you have faith, if you have the fundamental belief that all things are working to perfection, which I think is the most core fundamental belief, which, you can get to that belief any way you want, but I definitely have that belief that all things are working to perfection all the time.
Always.
Then I can take the risk because I can trust that even if it were to break,
Yeah.
that would be the perfection that's needed.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Yeah.
and what happens is it doesn't break; it gets stronger
At least it's been our
for us.
example,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
But and I've seen a lot of people try it and come back and say, "Wow, I was the only one carrying it.
Yeah,
The minute I shared it, it was over.
Right.
I could reconnect."
Yeah.
Yesterday, my daughter Iman was sharing something like that with a friend, and the friend had this sour relationship with the uncle. But after talking to her, and he went back and shared and free himself, that was even better. Another example, I am traveling to Denver to come to our ranch here, and I happened to sit next to a beautiful lady. So the flight from Scottsdale to there was like an hour and a half, 2 hours. And the whole 2 hours we're talking. And she happened to share with me how her dad was doing. And it led to the dad is married, remarried, and she didn't like the new wife. And when I asked her just a simple question of why, she's like, I just don't think she's the best thing for my dad. And I said, well, but your dad thinks different, and they've been together all these years. But what I don't understand is how hard it is to grow old alone, and your dad choose the right person for him, and you're not giving your support. Can you see how grateful you should be if you just look at it and you remove yourself from being just feeling like, okay, she's taking my mom's place or whatever it is your issue is. By the end of this flight, she changed her whole life. If she's watching me today, I'm not going to say her name, but I will definitely send this video to her because she inspired me today. She sent me the most beautiful note and said, I just broke a family trauma that was eating me up. I am done being angry. The first thing I did when I got off the plane, when I met my mother-in-law, was to hug her and to say, I'm sorry, and I'm grateful that you are in my dad's life. They cried together, and she said, I am so sorry that I never asked you what you needed from us. So this work, I couldn't have done this work myself if, number one, I had said to myself that I should not talk to strangers.
Right.
The one thing we teach the kids, don't talk to strangers.
Right.
If I had not talked to a stranger, I would not have a stranger validated me, not me, the work we're doing together. Today, she became a friend. She came back to Scottsdale and came visit me. But just to tell you, this life can only be beautiful if we're doing it together. How do I know? Because we are just like a herd animal. If one of us is in pain, all of us is in pain. Now, I know we are living a part of this life now where we don't trust each other. We trust our dogs, our animals. We wanna better the planet. But you know who the dog and the horses and the planet needs? Us, humans. There is no planet. There is no dogs being saved. There is nothing being saved if we don't get our emotions right. Okay. If we don't start to work on ourselves, our fears, our faith, and be joyful, we can save nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing, as simple as that. So, yes, that was my intake about this question you asked. Relationship, it starts at home.
Yeah.
Definitely. With who? Your number one partner.
The one you're with.
The one who said yes.
The one who said yes.
I will do the work with you.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
so,
that's right.
And speaking of home, you might have noticed we're in a different studio.
Set up here.
So we are in Colorado, and we have a little mountain house. We try to get away for the summer, so we thought we'd bring the cameras and see if this would work. So I hope it does.
We hope so. I mean, we had the dogs.
Yeah, you
yapping.
heard the dogs. We can't put them anywhere, otherwise they're just going to yap. So we just figured, you might have heard them
Include
chewing
them.
bones. Yeah, we're including them, and they seem to have settled down. So,
Yeah. Right.
but this has been great, and
Thank you.
I think this is the kind of stuff I want to be talking about more. I want to dig deeper into this because it's what I think is so missing in this world right now.
You cannot get it in any school, college, university. They will teach you math, languages, physics, and science, which is great. I don't think I met a better math teacher than my mother. You could blindfold her. She will cook a meal, and it will come out perfectly because she knew the math. Yeah. So all these things that we are teaching each other is just a reminder. Teaching is reminding you that it's already within you. If not, you would not have access to it.
Right.
Now, we have it in a way where the intellect takes over, but it's time that we're lowering it down. It's time that we can sit down, just talk like this without being afraid of it or calling it too deep. There is nothing too deep.
Yeah.
There is just real or not real.
Yeah. And the great thing about this is it's self-selecting. So if this conversation is interesting to you, you self-select in, and if it's not, you self-select out, which is fantastic because we want to be talking with those people that this is interesting to. And on that point, we really want to thank you for your comments. We really love them. We read every single one, every time.
Every time.
We do, and they are meaningful to us because they help us understand. And they're not all positive, and we love the negative ones just as much as we love the positive ones because it helps us to understand how we've been heard. And so we want them all. We want everyone to be as genuine and honest and as open as possible. And I really think that's one of the beautiful things. I think social media, I think the internet, I think this connection is positive. I think it's going to help us grow, even though there's a lot of growing pains in this process.
That's
and
right.
yes, there's a lot of negative out there online. There's a lot of stuff that is polarizing us and pulling us against each other. But there's also a lot of stuff bringing us together.
That's right.
And that's what this is for. We want to basically get one message out, which is that my interest is not different than your interest.
That's right.
My interest is not different than your interest.
Yep.
Our interest is not different than your interest.
That's right.
We are one. And we either win this game together or we continue to play into overtime after overtime. In the end, we're all going to win. So it's not about losing it together,
No.
but we can make it last a long, long time, or we can get busy doing the work and make this go faster. Because there's a lot of suffering in the world
That's right.
that could be alleviated. And that's a good thing. We want to do that. And it starts here. It starts with the mindset.
Yes.
There is no lack of food in this world. There's no lack of clean water in this world. There's no lack of resources in this world.
Yeah.
There's a lack of will to distribute it and to make it available to everybody. That's all there is. It's a lack of will.
Yeah.
And that translates into our politics and it translates into our relationships. But you can't talk about politics and the president and what's happening in the world if you can't talk with your closest person about the things that are triggering you and get your own
Absolutely.
emotional relationship with yourself and the people around you correct. And unfortunately, we've been dragged down to where most of us are talking about something that's going on over there that has nothing to do with it. And we're using that not to focus on ourselves.
That's right.
So stop that. Focus on yourself. Focus on this relationship. If it's not as good as it can be, stop and make that your priority for
That's
your
right.
life. Because let me tell you, if you can get this one right,
That's right.
sky's the limit.
And I'm going to close it with this saying. One of my friends, I'm sure, who's going to tell me, he's going to tell me who said it, but it's a saying that says, charité bien ordonnée commence par soi-même. That was French. Charity, well done, start at home by you. So I know we all want to have to save the world, but I don't think the world doesn't need saving. There is no world out there detached from who we are.
Right.
We are the world. Oh, Michael Jackson said that.
We are
he
the
was
world.
unlikely. We are the world.
Yeah.
It starts by us.
Yeah.
And I see it all the time. I think this world is full of amazing people.
Amazing.
Beautiful people.
Yes.
You know, and you are the one validating that saying because you're out there. One of our videos, or many of them, are doing millions of views. And the comments, I mean, it's just amazing to me. I'm like, you are inspiring me back to sit here and do it, because the more I see that some people are interested, they are positive, and they are changing their lives, the more I have trust in this world that we share together.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you. Thank you
Thank you.
for opening up and sharing.
Thank you.
And please like and comment and subscribe, and put your notifications on, and watch all the whole videos. And if this is inspiring you, go back and watch the rest of them because they're building on each other. They're all building to a point, which is the same point, but it helps to see it from all these different angles.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for joining us from Colorado, and we'll see you next time.
See you.